used to say on a regular basis, I don't understand why we don't change the Constitution. Um, it was written with a feather on a piece of leather. Like that's how he said it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I understand what you're saying. I do, but I disagree. And we've had this conversation many times. That's not just a feather and parchment.
Right.
Those men are greater than any of the men living today. And here's
Any
why.
one of those guys is smarter than Joe Rogan and me.
And I would say anybody in the world right now. And okay, I shouldn't say that. That's egotistical. Smarter than probably 99.9% of the world today, because they came from that. And this is where I didn't understand the importance of it until I've, again, getting older, getting more mature. But the Enlightenment period, I bored me to death learning about it. And I thought that was the stupidest period.
Right.
Same with the Renaissance. I hate the Renaissance, especially studying it. It's boring. It's philosophy. It's literature. Now that
Well,
I'm
there's nothing
starting,
sexy about it, right?
no, nothing at all.
Right.
Unless you're really into poetry and stuff like that. Not into poetry, but I'm starting to get more into writing and understanding, just for my own personal pleasure. But now understanding the context, like we've been talking about, contextualizing things, understanding the context of how those men created a government from scratch. Nobody has ever done that before. People today, oh, it's a new government. Yeah, they're going to create a constitution. They throw it out there like it's nothing. Nobody
Right.
knew what a constitution was until 1787, 1789, when they were developing it.
Closest thing they had was the Magna Carta, which is just more of an agreement.
Yes, it's a foundational document that helped create that, for sure.
Yes, but it
Um,
sure wasn't a constitution. It did limit what the king could do or would do, but he had
right.
to agree to it. But
Yes. You're
it
still
didn't
limiting.
go.
You're limiting him, but instead of handcuffs, he's still got shackles that he can kind of do this with.
Yes,
I mean,
that's a good way to put it. That's right. It just
and
loosened the ability to move a little bit.
yeah, and that's why I appreciate the Enlightenment so much more. And here's, we've talked about this before, and I'm glad that we're recording this, because this is probably going to go up in a clip sometime. The one of my favorite shows, I should watch it again. Turn.
What is it?
Turn. The
Oh,
the
yeah, I
spy
want to
episode.
watch. I want to rewatch that.
It's good. It's 4 seasons. So they finally finished it out with the 4 seasons. They cut it off with Yorktown, and then there's like an episode where he says what happened to his son, and essentially his son also served in the army in 1812.
Okay,
Um,
so I saw probably half of them. Then I
yeah,
did the first half, if I
you
saw
should
all of them.
you should finish it, but it's good because also what's funny is I've read a lot of Washington in the last couple of years, just trying to understand him, and I'm trying to go through some of the major founding fathers. I know Todd's mom said Todd's going through all the presidents, and now he's going to try and go through all the founding fathers, or maybe it's the other way around. He's already done founding fathers and he's trying to do presidents.
Yeah, yeah.
But
She told me about that. Yeah.
yeah, but a lot of the stuff, like Andre, and if you watch him again, you'll know what I'm talking about. Andre, the British officer who turns Benedict Arnold.
The arrogant guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, I remember
there's
him.
there's an episode in that series, and I love that episode. There's a scene specifically, and it makes me just appreciate the Enlightenment so much. Leading up to it, this man he's a dedicated officer, aristocrat. All right, you don't get in the British Army. You're at this time.
Right.
You are a lord. You are a land owner. You have a family name. There's all
Yeah.
this aristocracy that you're following, and to an extent, I think it's still very much so in the British Army today, but not like it was then. There was definitely elitist. This
Mhm.
man, he talks up to this point of taking over Benjamin Franklin's house, and it shows whether this was true or not, but it shows him understanding the science, the inventions Franklin had been creating and stuff like that, and he's playing with some of the stuff and getting to understand it. He's talked about artists and how great they are and wonderful they are. Then, of course, as an officer, he's talking military tactics regularly throughout the show, and he's very knowledgeable about it. It just there's this plethora of things. I've thrown out there 5 things already. Now, in this specific scene, you've built this character up to who he is, and he walks in, and there's a dance. And in the dance, the ladies are going back across the floor with the men and so on. He just walks in, just, hey, look at me, the Casanova cowboy, essentially ready to just slay tonight. And
Right.
he walks in and he catches the eye of Peggy. I don't remember her last name. I should know this, but it becomes Benedict Arnold's wife eventually.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Because
but
he married. Yes.
but he catches the eye of her, this officer, and this is how they kind of tie. I don't know. People historically they debate on how things tied together, but essentially those three made what resulted in Benedict Arnold's turn. And in this scene, he catches her eye, and she watches him, and he just walks in, and he's listening to the music, and he's kind of catching the beat, and all of a sudden, he notices that people are kind of paying attention to him, so he takes the stage. They stop playing for a second, and he grabs a violin, and he just starts going into this absolutely magnificent rendition of some of the classic music that was created. I don't know if it's a Mozart or something like that. Somebody who understands it would know exactly what I'm talking
A couple
about.
hundred years prior to that, anyway.
Yeah, but it's beautiful, and it ties in this man who understood art,
Right.
and you could even take away the art. This man that understood military tactics, understood politics, understood science, and suddenly you soften him with a night of he knows how to dance, and he can do this amazing recital of the music with his own hands,
Right.
just from memory. He's not looking at a piece of paper. It's all from memory, because this time was the post Enlightenment, where they had been reading so much, they'd been studying. What did they have? They didn't have TV. We've got TV. We've got YouTube. We've got Facebook. We've got Instagram. We've got all this social media that takes our time away. And these guys, by candlelight, after the end of the day, they're sitting there reading and enjoying something or learning, because that's who they are. And it created the most amazing group of men ever known to history, where they create a government from absolutely freaking nothing after their country has been torn apart from nothing. They're
Right.
like, all right, we're gonna try and throw something together and make it work, like we noticed the Native Americans did with the Iroquois Confederation. So we're gonna make the Articles of Confederation. Okay, great stance. I wish we could go back to it. It's not feasible though, because there's no federal government to keep things together when times get hard. That's why we create the Constitution. They recognize those patterns, so they've used experience and then all of the knowledge they've had over the course of essentially 400 years that they've gathered by themselves, and they all come together as different men throughout a country, and they form something absolutely amazing. And then to tie it back to Joe Rogan, he says a feather and a piece of parchment. Like, that's not, it's not, yes, you're simplifying it, but that's not the case. And now it's funny because
Well,
I saw
but
an episode recently where he said, the founding fathers knew a whole lot more than I thought they did. And I don't think we just lightly go about changing the Constitution because we feel like it. I'm like, there you go. You're finally coming around. There's a reason
well,
why it was made the way it was made.
but think of this: when someone makes a statement like that, to simplify or um, make something seem like it's less than it is because they are trying to change it or scrap it or get rid of it, because it's like, hey, this no longer applies. This is old and it is wore out and it doesn't work anymore. All it is diminishing its value. And if you
Right.
diminish something's value, you no longer need it. Now we need to do something new, bigger and better, the way we want. And that's where we're at in a lot of our politics right now. He's come around. It'd be interesting to know what made him evolve that way, if he's done any introspection like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be just the politics of where he's come from, because he's recently moved to Texas now because of his business. He had to.